I started a comic book club for people who are afraid of commitment. We only read one-shots. Welcome to Comic Book Editions Volume 242. I recently purchased a Grail, a comic book that I didn't know if I'd ever end up being able to add into my collection. You might even call it a ghost. Today I'm going to talk about that comic book. I'm going to share the process that I went through in obtaining it, and then I sent it out to get slabbed, and it's back. I don't know the grade, so we'll do a reveal today. I want to be very candid and unscripted talking about this experience. I'm so glad that you're here for it. Welcome. On March 25th, 2023, outside the entrance to the Warner Brothers Studio Tour in Burbank, California, a ceremony was held where a 600-pound, 7.5-foot bronze Wonder Woman statue was unveiled. Burbank Tourism took it a step further at the event by making an exclusive comic book that they gave away. They chose Wonder Woman, Agent of Peace, issue number 14. I believe that they chose that story where Amelia Earhart ends up on Themyscira because the story's writer, Amanda Durbert, is a California native. They took it a step further by commissioning Jenny Frison to do an exclusive cover that looked exactly like the statue that they just unveiled. You couldn't win it. I knew I had to have one of these, but how was I going to get it? You couldn't buy it. It checkmarked my Wonder Woman collection. I needed it for that. And I'm a Jenny Frison fan, so I needed it for my Jenny Frison collection. My collection felt incomplete without it. Burbank Tourism did their first Instagram giveaway of 5 of those on March 24th, 2023. It's my understanding, first of all, that the order of these comic books, a lot of them arrived damaged, from what I heard. I heard that the Tourism Council did not use Gemini mailers when they shipped out those first 5 prize wins, and a lot of those books got damaged through the postal system as well. On July 14th, 2023, they gave away another 5 copies. And outside of the people that were given copies at that ceremony the day of, March 25th, 2023, it's the people that won them were the only ones that had them. I don't know if these books sat in someone's desk drawer for a while until someone, actually just pretty recently, in May of 2025, found them, and they did another 5 giveaway. And how you had to win was put a special hashtag in the comments and you could tag someone for an additional entry. I tried and tried and tried. It was so frustrating not to win. First of all, I'm not a fan, and I talked about this recently in a Comic Book Editions video, where people don't give you the chance to purchase these things, because what happens is someone that really doesn't care if they have the book ends up winning it, and then they try to flip it for a profit, where somebody else, like me, who truly wants this comic book, can't end up getting a copy. I had reached out to Burbank Tourism and pleaded a case as sincerely as I could, not once but twice, and they weren't very friendly with me, to say the least. I actually would have preferred had they not replied at all. It would have been better than the reply that I got. Even if they did something that was charity-based, where they printed up maybe 100 copies too that were for sale, and all the proceeds of that went to a Burbank charity, that would have been amazing. I would have had no problem supporting something like that. But you see the book as rarely as you do on eBay, and people are asking like $2,000 for it. And it's crazy. I mean, the ones that are asking $2,000, those books stay up there because no one's going to pay that much money for them. But the book has sold for ridiculous amounts of money, especially something that's a modern comic book. I lost sleep trying to figure out how I was going to get this comic book into my collection. And I mean, it had been now over 2 years since the initial book had come out. I had seen people on Instagram that had multiple copies of this. And I'm like, oh, come on. It's so tough to get one, and you've got 2. You know, I reached out to some of them, will you sell one to me? No, they won't. I also saw, and this really frustrated me too, in the second Instagram giveaway that they did, there was a user that was just tagging celebrities. They'd put the hashtag in and then put at Robert Downey Jr. The hashtag in, at James Gunn. And that's not what the Burbank tourism wants. They're trying to get people to be aware of their product. And of course, that person that did that just spammed the comments just by tagging celebrities, ended up being one of the ones who won one of the 5 copies. Where someone like me who's tagging legitimate friends and trying to spread the word, no luck at all. That is so frustrating to me. So I sat here for, like I said, lost sleep about this comic book, not just one night, but many nights throughout the last couple of years, and kind of resigned the fact that I'm not going to have this comic book in my collection. And it didn't devastate me. That's not the right word, but it hurt my heart to know I wasn't going to have this in my collection. And I didn't know what to do. So I guess the question comes up now, how did I get one? So one of my best friends and his family and I headed to C2E2 on the Sunday, the final day of it, April 13th, 2025 this year. I was excited because my friend had never been. I hadn't been to C2E2 since pre-pandemic. Plus I knew my friend Signature King, who I do the Fanboys Live and the Retro Review show with. It's the greatest DC comic show on YouTube Sunday nights here on my YouTube channel. Make sure to join us some week, like maybe this weekend. He was going to be there for the show. And it was our first time to meet face-to-face. We had been doing Fanboys Live for years now, and we were finally going to get the chance to hang out together. So that was exciting as well. I had a very small agenda of things that I wanted to accomplish at C2E2, but one of them that was very important to me was getting the chance to talk with Jenny Frison. I had met Jenny Frison before, years before at C2E2, pre-pandemic. She was so kind and sweet, and I never forgot that. It's nice when someone who's so incredibly talented ends up being so incredibly friendly as well. It meant a lot to me. So I knew that she was a very approachable person. And my goal was to go over and just ask her for any suggestions that she has on how I could obtain a copy of this Wonder Woman Agent of Peace comic book with her special exclusive cover. Because I was out of options. I didn't know what to do at this point. So after meeting Tom King, Signature King and I got in line for Jenny Frison, whose signing was going to start to take place at noon. We're maybe about, 12 or 13 people back in line. And I look up ahead in line and I see someone and I'm like, I know that guy. It's Cheddar Comics. Now, I knew of Cheddar Comics because we follow each other on Instagram, and I know him from his live sales, and he lives in the same state that I do. But we had never officially met face-to-face. So I wanted to go up and introduce myself. So I did, and at first I'm like, we follow each other on Instagram, and he's like, he's kind of smiling. He's like, I don't know who you are. I know that that's what's going through his head. And I introduced myself, and as soon as I said it's Magic Lasso, he's like, oh, yeah. So we had the chance to visit, and it was so great meeting Chris and meeting his wife, Mrs. Cheddar, too, and just talking about things that we have in common because the store, my LCS, even though it's a little bit of a distance, is in the same town that he lives in. So we know of a lot of the same haunts and areas, and it was just nice to be able to visit face-to-face for a few moments. Anyway, while I'm in the process of talking to Cheddar Comics, he's a lot further up in line, maybe like the fifth or sixth person. I look over and I see some of the Jenny Frison merchandise. And on the table, there were 2 comic books. I can't remember what the other one was, but you know that the one I'm talking about was the Wonder Woman Agent of Peace comic book. And the second I saw it, my heart, it felt like it just stopped for a second. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the comic book. That's it. It is there. And I mentioned to Cheddar, I said, oh, you know how much that Wonder Woman comic book is? And he told me a price. And he's like, it's expensive. And he told me this price. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I talked to Cheddar a little bit more. And then I excused myself. And I went over. And Jenny Frison's husband, Steve, who's a very talented artist in his own right, Steve Seeley, look into his work too. He was minding the booth. And I asked Steve, how much the comic book was. And he gave me a price. And I said, okay. And I just kind of backed off for a second. And I'm sure he thought, yeah, he's not going to buy it. And I said goodbye to Cheddar. And I went back to Signature King. At this time, and just a little bit beforehand, Signature King and myself had made a new friend in line. And I love that. I think every year that I went to C2E2, I've made like a new friend that I didn't know just by standing in the same line with someone. And it was Quila B Comics. So Quila and I are talking, and he's listening in to my conversation. I text my best friend, and I'm like, can you come over? And I tell him where I'm at. And surprisingly, because McCormick Place in Chicago, where C2E2 is huge. Surprisingly, he was there pretty fast. And when he got there, I just laid it out. I said, this is the comic book that I've been looking for. This is the price. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I fully expected my friend who I went to the show with to say it's too expensive and to pass. And I think that he could have influenced me out of it by saying that. But I was so surprised that he was like, I think you should go for it. And I'm listening to Signature King, who's saying the same things. Quila B is saying the same things. And we're talking over, the pros and cons essentially of doing it. It's not a long conversation, but at this point, to be honest with you, everything in my head starts to feel like it's swirling around. Not in a bad way, because I'm like, I think I might end up buying this comic book. And I kind of talked about how I could pay for the comic book. If I use such and such credit card, I have a high amount of rewards I could apply to it, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get the book. So I go back to get the book. It's still a couple minutes away from the time that Jenny's going to start signing. I walk back up to Steve. I lay down my credit card. I said, let's do it. And then Steve did the most awesome thing ever. And I respect him so much for doing this. He said, wait a minute. Let's take the book out. He says, it's not completely mint. And I just want you to know what you're getting. And just the integrity and the honesty at that moment, I'm like, this is somebody I want to do business with, because he's friendly, he's honest, and I trust him. So we kind of look through the book. I point out what I see the faults to be, which were 3 of them. 2 spine ticks on the front cover side. I don't think they were color breaking. The biggest hit was going to come on the back cover, but it's the back cover. Who cares? And he said yes. He also told me, which I think I mentioned before, that a lot of these books, just from their order, arrived to Burbank Tourism damaged. So there are some 9.8s out there in existence, but a lot of books aren't 9.8s. I asked them if this is from her personal collection, and he said yes. I said, how many more do you have? He said, this is the last one. And I started to think about this. This book had been sitting out on the table. Signature King even told me he saw the book when he went through the Jenny Frison line days earlier at C2E2. Didn't realize it was the book I was looking for. But this book had sat out there, one copy of it, at Jenny Frison's booth, and no one bought it. I guess it was too expensive. I think it's because it was meant for me. Steve and I negotiated a price. Very painless, very easy. I bought the book. So I come back to my friends in line. I have my book. I'm smiling, I'm sure, ear to ear. And I say, okay, I got it. And Signature King says, we need to get this, you need to get this signed, and we need to get this witnessed and slabbed. He's like, let's have Beckett do it. And at this point, I mean, just so much stuff is just going through my mind. And, Quila B and Signature King are both saying, I remember Signature King saying, you're not going to regret doing this. It's to protect the book. I said, but it's not going to be a 9.8. And Signature King said, that doesn't matter. You're preserving the book. That's what counts. Your memories are going to be nothing but enhanced by doing this. And I'm still trying to make up my mind. And he's already on the phone with Beckett saying, yeah, come over to Jenny Frisen's line. I think it was row E. And I'm just like, and then Signature King's like, I'm A-okaying this to you. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was just like another amazing thing that had just happened. And literally, I know I keep doing this with my hands, but that's how my brain felt, like in a great way. And I'm on this euphoric high. So the line's starting to move through, and it goes pretty fast despite one person that had an entire wagon full of books for Jenny to sign. I was surprised at exactly how fast she got through all of them. Very impressed. So the witness finally gets over there. Signature King even pays and A-okays the witness signature fee to Steve for Jenny to sign it. And it's my turn. And I had a couple of other things for her to sign, which you might remember I showed that in Comic Book Editions, volume 235. So I had her sign my other stuff, and we get to this book, and I started telling her how I had lost sleep over this book and how I contacted Burbank Tourism and they were mean to me. I ended up saying that to her twice. I remember saying it to her twice. I feel like such a dork in retrospect. Like, it was almost like, as I was going through that, it was like watching myself independently going through that. Like, it was just a very weird feeling. And to Jenny Frisen, I'm apologize for being such a dork when I went through. And I kept telling her, you have no idea what this book means to me and how I've lost sleep and how much I wanted this. And I remember telling her how kind she always was to me and how much, when I had met her before and how much I appreciated that. And she was so sweet, as she always is. And one thing I do remember telling her, I'm like, I'm not going to flip this book. And she's like, well, that's sweet. She's like, but it is your book and you can do with it what you want. And I do remember her saying to me, I'm glad that you ended up getting this comic book. I don't think I'll ever forget that. And, we did a photo together, and I'm like, Aquila B, who went ahead of me in line, let me borrow one of his markers, and we all decided that the yellow one would probably look best. So I borrowed one of his really cool markers to really make the signature pop, and we decided where she should sign it at. So I asked her to sign it, on the side of the shield, which she did. And we got done, and I'm thinking to myself, well, it's another amazing experience with Jenny Frisen. Steve was just as awesome before. And I do remember meeting Steve the first time I met Jenny, too, and I'm so happy with him. My friends, I think, made a wise decision in making sure that I got this book, because I think I would have regretted it. And I don't know if that book could have been gone. I mean, you never know. So then we head on over to Beckett to have CBCS. The witness has the book. And we head over to CBCS to fill out all the paperwork and pay for it. And I just went into this amazing euphoric state, not only for the rest of C2E2, but it lasted for weeks afterwards, just at home in my personal life, even though I didn't have the book with me. That feeling still remained. I've said this before. People forget what you say, they forget what you do, but they always remember how you made them feel. And it was such an amazing win for me as a collector. The one thing I do regret, before I completely let Beckett and CBCS take this, I never even paged through the book page by page, and I wish I would have done that before encapsulation, but I just had so much going on that I honestly didn't think about it until like a week later. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't do that. Because I was considering for a moment not getting the book slabbed and not even getting the book signed. I mean, I weighed that option too with Quilla B and Signature King. And Quilla was so cool because he had been at C2E2, for 2.5 days at this point, and he had a long drive ahead of himself. But he stopped, wanted to witness this and see somebody get his Grail. And I was a stranger to him, half an hour earlier, and now he was so invested in it, and that meant a lot to me too. Everything meant a lot to me. And that's the story of how I got the book. And to me, it's a little bit more special because it came from Jenny Frisen's collection. I think to own this book, regardless of how you own the book, even if you bought it on eBay, it's pretty special that you have one. But to have one that came from Jenny Frisen's personal collection, to me, is almost better than winning it. It is better than winning it, in my opinion. The book is back, and I have not opened it. So guess what we're doing next? We're opening it. This is it. This is the moment I've waited for. I've been a good boy. I didn't peek ahead of time to see what the grade on the book is. And I'm going to find out in a matter of minutes. I do want to say before we get into this, if you're new to my channel and haven't subscribed yet, I hope you take this opportunity to do so. I am on the road to 1K, and the 1,000 subscriber and the corresponding party that will go along with it is being planned now. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you take this opportunity to do so. Give the video a thumbs up, a like, a heart. Share the video and the channel with someone else that might be interested. If you're really into Grail comic books, I'm very fortunate to have more in my collection. I remember in Comic Book Editions Volume 219, my friend Andre from Brazil gifted me some incredibly rare bootleg Wonder Woman comic books from Argentina. You should see my reaction to that. I couldn't even speak. So check out that video if you haven't already. And one more thing I'm going to say. When we get done unboxing and opening this, I'm going to share with you a couple things that I'm looking for in my collection. I guess the new Grail goals, so to speak. Maybe you have one or know where I can get one and you can help me out. So hang around for that towards the end of the video. So I want to do a grade prediction. I looked at the time of filming and opening. On CGC, there were 15 on the census. Now, there were some 9.8s. I think there were 7 of them. 9.4 is the lowest that CGC has for a graded copy of this book. And there are some signed copies out there, too. Some that are even signed by multiple people. Mine's just signed by Jenny Frisen, and I'm just fine with that. It's CBCS. I believe that it's the first and only CBCS grading of this title. I didn't look because I was too scared that I would end up revealing my grade by accident, and I wanted a genuine moment coming up here. So I'm hoping it's not lower than 9.4. There was a press and a clean done on this book too. I'm hoping it's not 9.4. I'm not expecting, or I hope it's not lower than 9.4. 9.4 would be fine. I'm not expecting 9.8. You know, grading is a privilege, and CBCS and Beckett truly earned my respect. And I was very happy with how important customer service was. It was very evident that that is an important factor for them. And I thank them for the help that they gave me with this book. I can't wait anymore. Okay, I have to do a prediction though for grade. See, I don't know what it looks like pressed and cleaned. I'm going to say 9.6. That might not be realistic. If it's lower, that's okay too. I'm going to put you in fast forward mode because the moment's here. Let's go. Okay, we're here. I am going to say I think I peeked and saw the grade. I think I did. And if it's a grade, I think I saw, yeah, I just kind of peeked and saw it. It's fine. It's not what I predicted it to be. I got to get this open and look. I did see the grade. I'm usually pretty careful with bubble wrap. Not this time. I'm like, get that stuff out of here. I just want to see my book. Here's my book. It's 9.2. I'm okay with that. I am. There's a raw one on eBay that someone's asking $2,000 for that has tons more spine ticks and damage than this copy does. Let's read the label. DC 5 2023 City of Burbank Special Edition. Witness signature Jenny Frison on 4/13/2025 from the personal collection of Jenny Frison. The witness did, after I got done, walk up to Jenny Frison and said, "Did that come from your personal collection?" And she confirmed that it did. Distributed exclusively by Warner Brothers Studios, Wonder Woman statue unveiling. Story originally printed in digital form. 9.2 cover Jenny Frison. Oh my gosh. It's true. It's here. It's mine. It's back. I'm beyond happy. I am beyond happy. Spine ticks look good, though. Like, I remember talking with Steve, and we pointed out, I'm like, these are the 3 flaws that I see. And two were on the front cover, and, you know, just glancing right now, they look really good. You know, I guess I see one of them now, but looks good. The back cover looks a lot better than I remember. And there's the back, by the way, in case you were wondering. Got a little Wonder Woman 84 in the background on the back cover. It's real. It's signature is here in yellow up against the shield. I like that because the way she signed it and the way her signature looks, it almost looks like part of the back of the shield of the design. So I don't know. I like it. I just think it enhanced it. I think Signature King was right. I think Quila B was right that it would enhance this. To Signature King for the AOK, thank you so incredibly much. I will never forget that. To Quila B for becoming a new friend, for letting me use your yellow marker, which I have to get markers like that too, because that was pretty awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being invested in the story and wanting to see how it played out. To CBCS and Beckett, I'd definitely use you again. I would recommend folks to use you again. Thank you for what you did for me. And you guys did a lot for me, and thank you for that. I truly and sincerely appreciate it. Your customer service is excellent. Excellent. I think these cases are beautiful. I'm really happy with the cases, so this is a win. This is a big win for me. What are your thoughts? I would love to know that in the comments section below. Your thoughts. 9.2, Wonder Woman, Burbank celebrates Wonder Woman, Agent of Peace, issue 14, signed by Jenny Frison from her personal collection. Your thoughts. Comments are always welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. So before we wrap up today's comic book editions video, I said that, you know, this is a huge grail that's accomplished now. And I said, well, once you accomplish the grail, you know, you start moving on to the next one. Don't think I'm not done celebrating the success of having this in my collection. I won't be for quite some time. I did say that, because you never know who's watching. You never know who has access to anything. There is a couple things that I want to talk about. There's a Wonder Woman 77 meets Bionic Woman issue number 1, Tidewater Comic-Con exclusive that was done by artist J-Bone. This thing is like a ghost. I've been trying to find this. There's also a black and white sketch version of it as well. I'd be happy with just one of them. I'd love to have both, but I'd be happy with just one. I can't find this. You never see it on eBay. If you know where I can buy one, hit your boy up. C2E2 in 2020 did a Michael Cho Wonder Woman poster of her running with Chicago in the background. I would love to have one of those. I can't find those. You never see those on eBay either. And I don't want the tiny ones. Like, they have like kind of tinier ones, and then they have like bigger posters. I'm trying to find one of the bigger posters. if I think the VIPs got that. So if you went, or maybe one of your friends went to that, hit me up, because I'm looking to add that into my collection. And I would be remiss not to mention the ever-exclusive Brazilian Wonder Woman pink lunchbox that my friend Andre tells me to give up on, but I'm not going to give up on it. You have to try. Hurts nothing to keep trying. So that's what I'm looking for future Grails. I don't know if I'm going to get those or not, but I'm celebrating this one. Thank you especially to my friend and his family that went with me, and for their support, their friendship, for making this event happen. It's so much more fun to go with your friends. And thank you to Signature King for the continued friendship for the AOK. Thank you to Quila B, my new friend, Steve Seeley, Jenny Frizen, CBCS, and Beckett. You guys made me pretty happy, made me extremely happy. And that's the way we wrap up today's Comic Book Editions 242 video. Subscribe if you haven't. Watch my Back Issue of the Week YouTube short and Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. That's what you find on the channel. Until we get the chance to visit again, be happy, healthy, and safe. And take care. Thanks.